Let me ask you a question, and I want you to think about it seriously. If you work harder this year, longer hours, more effort, more discipline, will you be free? Most people say yes. They believe that. They were taught that. Work hard, get paid, save money, retire one day. That is the plan. That is the promise. But here is the truth nobody told you. Working harder inside the wrong system does not make you free. It makes you more trapped. Right now, almost 2 out of every 3 working adults live paycheck to paycheck. Not because they are lazy, not because they are stupid, but because they are playing a game that was never designed for them to win. Today we are going to talk about that game. We are going to name it. We are going to understand it. And most importantly, we are going to talk about how to escape it step by step, clearly, in real language that you can understand and use. This lesson is for English learners who want more than words. It is for your mind, your future, your financial freedom. By the end of this lesson, you will not only understand financial freedom, you will understand how to build it in real life. Truth 1. The trap. Imagine a rat inside a wheel. It runs and runs and runs. Fast, hard, with everything it has. But look closely. The rat is not going anywhere. It is moving, but it is not moving forward. It is just spinning in place. That image, a rat running in a wheel and going nowhere, is where the phrase rat race comes from. And the sad truth is this: most people are living that life right now. They wake up, they go to work, they get paid, they pay bills, they spend, the month ends, and then they do it all over again. Work, earn, spend, debt, repeat. That cycle, that endless loop, is the rat race. Now, some of you listening might think, but I am earning more than last year. I got a raise. I got a promotion. I am doing better. Maybe, but let me ask you this. When your income went up, did your savings go up too? Or did your spending go up with it? Be honest. Because for most people, something strange happens every time they earn more money. They buy a better car. They move to a bigger apartment. They eat at nicer restaurants. They upgrade their phone. And suddenly all that extra money is gone, not saved, not invested, just spent on a slightly more expensive version of the same life. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is one of the most dangerous traps in the rat race. It feels like progress. It looks like success. But financially, you are in exactly the same position you were before, because your expenses always rise to meet your income. Let me say that again because it is important. Your expenses always rise to meet your income, unless you make a decision to stop that from happening. Now here is where Robert Kiyosaki comes in. He is the author of Rich Dad, Poor Dad, one of the most read financial books in history. His most important lesson is this: there is a difference between an asset and a liability. An asset is something that puts money into your pocket. A liability is something that takes money out of your pocket. Most people spend their entire lives buying liabilities, cars, gadgets, subscriptions, lifestyle upgrades, and calling it success. Meanwhile, they own almost nothing that actually generates income for them. And here is the core trap, the thing that keeps the rat wheel spinning forever. Most people trade their time for money. You show up, you work, you get paid. You stop working, the money stops. Time in, money out. Time in, money out. Time for money is a transaction, and you are always the one paying the higher price, because your time is the one thing you can never get back. An hour spent at work is an hour that is gone forever. You cannot save it. You cannot invest it. Once it is gone, it is gone. So the real question, the question this entire lesson is built around, is not, how do I earn more money? The real question is this: how do I build a life where money comes in whether I am working or not? That is financial freedom, not a dream, not a fantasy. A real system that real people have built and that you can build too. If you're serious about changing the way you think about money, subscribe right now. There is a lot more coming. Truth 2. The time trap. Let me tell you about two people. The first person is a doctor. He studied for 12 years. He works 60 hours a week. He earns a very good salary, more than most people he knows. His family is comfortable. His house is nice. His car is new. His life looks like success from the outside. Here is the truth about that doctor. If he stops working tomorrow, if he gets sick or injured, or simply decides he needs a break, his income stops completely, not slowly, immediately. Everything he has built depends on one thing and one thing only: him showing up every single day and trading his time for money. He does not own his freedom. He rents it 1 hour at a time. The second person is someone you might not have heard of. She is not famous. She does not have a special degree. But 10 years ago, she bought a small apartment and rented it out. Then she bought another one. Then she started a small online business and hired 2 people to run it. Today, she earns money every month from rent from that business, from dividends in her investment account, whether she works or not. Last month, she took 3 weeks off. The money kept coming. Same world. Same 24 hours in a day. Completely different lives. The difference is not intelligence. It is not luck, and it is not simply hard work either. The difference is what each person built. One built a career, the other built a system. Now, I want to be clear about something. Having a job is not bad. Working hard is not wrong. Hard work is necessary. A starting point, yes. A destination number. And for most people, it becomes a trap, so comfortable that they stop looking for the exit. The problem is that most people treat their job as the destination. They work harder, get promoted, earn more, and they think that is the path to freedom. But it is not. It is just a faster version of the same wheel. Here is why. There is a concept called active income. Active income is money you earn by doing work. You work, you get paid. You stop working, the money stops. A salary is active income. A freelancer payment is active income. Even a consultant fee is active income. And here is the brutal truth about active income. It has a ceiling. That ceiling is called time. You only have 24 hours in a day. Even if you charge $1,000 an hour, you can only work so many hours. Your income is permanently limited by the number of hours you can give. A poor mindset says, I just need to work harder and earn more. A rich mindset says, I need to build something that earns without me. Now compare active income to passive income. Passive income is money that comes in without requiring your direct time and effort. A rental property that earns rent every month. A business that runs without you. A stock portfolio that pays dividends. A digital product that sells while you sleep. Active income is a transaction time for money. Passive income is a system assets generating money. Here is where many people make a mistake. They think that being self-employed or freelancing is the same as being free. Wrong. A freelancer who works for themselves still owns a job, not a business. If they stop working for 2 months, their income disappears. They have more control than an employee, yes, but they are still completely dependent on their personal time and effort. Robert Kiyosaki said it clearly. Employees have a job. The self-employed own a job. The only difference is the boss. Think about that. Whether you work for a corporation or for yourself, if your income stops the moment you stop working, you are still in the same trap. You just call it by a different name. True financial freedom does not come from owning a job, no matter how high-paying that job is. It comes from owning assets. Things that work for you. Things that earn even when you are asleep, on vacation, or simply choosing to do something else. Hear me on this. Most people, smart people, educated people, hard-working people, will spend their entire life on the left side of the income model. They will give their best hours, their best energy, their best years to a system that was never designed to make them free. Weakness is not the reason. Nobody taught them there was another side. Truth 3. The map. Draw a cross on a piece of paper. 2 lines, one horizontal, one vertical. You now have 4 boxes, 4 quadrants. Robert Kiyosaki calls this the Cashflow Quadrant. It does not just describe how people earn money. It describes how people think about money. And thinking is where everything begins. The top left box, E, employee. Most people live here. An employee works for someone else. They have a contract, a salary, a schedule. They show up, they do the work, they receive a paycheck. Employees value security above all else. They want to know money is coming at the end of the month. They want health benefits, paid, holidays, a pension plan someday. And there is nothing wrong with wanting those things. Security is real. Security matters. But here is the cost of that security. In the E quadrant, you are always dependent. Dependent on your employer. Dependent on the company staying profitable. Dependent on not getting fired. Dependent on showing up every single day and continuing to trade your time for money. The moment you stop, the income stops. And in most countries, employees are taxed first. The government takes its share before you ever see your money. You earn gross income, and you receive net income after the tax has already been removed. An employee has almost no tools to reduce that tax legally. The bottom left box, S, self-employed. This person works for themselves, a freelance designer, a private doctor, a lawyer with a small firm, a consultant, a solo business owner. On the surface, this looks like freedom. You are your own boss. You set your hours. You choose your clients. But look deeper. An S quadrant person has not escaped the time for money trap. They have simply changed the address of the cage. If they get sick, revenue stops. If they take a holiday, revenue stops. If they want to earn more, they must work more hours. There is no lever to pull that does not require more of their personal time. They own their job, not a business. And that is a very different thing. Now we cross to the right side. This is where everything changes. The top right box, B, business owner. A business owner does not own a job. They own a system with processes, people, and structures that generate income whether or not the owner is physically present. Think about a franchise. The owner of a McDonald's does not personally cook every burger or clean every table. They built a system, a team, a process, a product, and that system earns money independently. The owner's job is to grow the system, not to be the system. Business owners in the B quadrant have something employees and the self-employed do not: scalability. Their income is not limited by their personal hours. They can hire more people, they can open more locations, they can build more products. The ceiling is much, much higher. And from a tax perspective, business owners pay tax after expenses. They earn, invest, and spend through the business first, then pay tax on what remains. That is a significant legal advantage that employees will never have. The bottom right box, I, investor. The I quadrant sits at the top of the mountain. The investor uses money to buy assets, real estate, stocks, businesses, and those assets generate income. The investor does not trade time. Their money does the work. An investor wakes up on a Tuesday morning and sees that money arrived overnight from dividends from rent from business profits. They did not lift a finger. Their money did the lifting. This is where the extremely wealthy live. Their secret was not harder work. They understood one rule that most people never learn. Do not work for money. Make money work for you. Now here is the critical question. Can you move from the left side to the right side? Yes, absolutely. But it requires something most people are not willing to give. Not money, not time. A complete change in how you think. On the left side, people think, how do I earn more? On the right side, how do I build something that earns without me? Left side thinks security. Right side thinks freedom. Left side fears risk. Right side learns to manage risk. This mindset shift goes against everything school taught you. Get good grades, get a good job, work hard, be loyal. That advice kept people safe in a different era. But in today's world, it keeps most people permanently on the left side of the quadrant. The crossing point, the moment you decide to build your first asset instead of just spending what you earn, that is where your real journey to financial freedom begins. Truth 4. The 3 assets. Most people never build passive income because nobody ever sat them down and explained it clearly. Here are 3 assets that change that. Asset 1. Real estate. The oldest and most reliable wealth-building tool in human history. The concept is simple. You own a property. Someone else pays you to live in it or use it. That payment is called rental income. And rental income arrives every month, whether you are working, sleeping, or traveling. Imagine you own a small apartment. You paid for it partly with your savings and partly with a bank loan, what we call a mortgage. Every month, your tenant pays you rent. That rent covers the mortgage payment, the maintenance cost, and still leaves some money left over. That leftover money is your positive cash flow. Now imagine you own 3 apartments, or 5, or 10, each one paying you every month. You are not selling your time anymore. You are collecting income from assets you own. The income keeps flowing, whether you are at your desk or on a beach somewhere far away. Real estate also has another powerful benefit. Over time, property values tend to rise. So not only are you earning rental income month by month, the asset itself is growing in value. Your net worth increases even while you sleep. You are earning in 2 directions at once. Now I know what some of you are thinking. No money for property yet? And maybe that is true, but this is not about doing everything at once. This is about understanding the direction and taking the first small step when you are ready. Asset 2. Business systems. A business system is not a job you own. Think of it as a machine that runs without your constant presence. This can take many forms. It can be a physical business with a team of employees who serve customers while you focus on strategy. It can be a digital business, an online course, a software product, an automated service that sells around the clock without you personally involved, a content platform earning advertising revenue, a small brand shipping products while you sleep. The key word is scalable. A business system can grow beyond your personal hours. One product, one course, one service can be sold to one person or to 100,000 people with almost the same amount of effort from you personally. Think about someone who creates an online English course. They record the videos once. They build the platform once. And then that course sells to students around the world 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while the creator goes on with their life. That creator built a system. That system is an asset. Building one takes time, energy, and patience. Nobody is saying it is easy. But the question is not whether it is easy. The question is whether it is worth it. And when you compare 10 years of building a system against 40 years of selling your time, the answer becomes very clear. Asset 3. Paper assets. Stocks, index funds, and dividends. Paper assets are the most accessible of the 3 because you can start with almost any amount of money. When you buy a share of stock, you become a part owner of a company. When that company earns profit, it sometimes pays a portion of that profit directly to shareholders. That payment is called a dividend. Dividends arrive in your account regularly, quarterly, or monthly, simply because you own the asset. Index funds take this one step further. Instead of buying shares in one company, an index fund lets you own a small piece of hundreds of companies at once. It automatically spreads your risk across the entire market. Historically, broad index funds have grown at an average of around 7 to 10% per year over the long term. Here is where compound interest enters. Compound interest means that your returns earn returns. Your profits get reinvested, and then those profits earn profits of their own. Over time, this creates growth that becomes faster and faster. A small amount invested consistently over many years can become something extraordinary. Warren Buffett, one of the greatest investors of the 20th century, described compound interest as the eighth wonder of the world. He started investing as a teenager, and most of his wealth arrived after he was 50 years old. That is compound interest at work over decades. The principle behind the FIRE movement, financial independence, retire early. People in the FIRE community save and invest aggressively, often 50% or more of their income, until their portfolio is large enough to live on. The rule is this: when your invested assets reach 25 times your annual expenses, you are financially free. You can withdraw 3 to 4% per year, and your portfolio sustains itself for a very long time. That number, 25 times your annual expenses, is called your freedom number. You do not need all three of these assets at once. You do not need to be an expert in all of them. Most financially free people started with just one rental property, one small business, one investment account. They focused. They were consistent. They reinvested their returns. And over time, one asset became two became four, and the cash flow grew until it exceeded their expenses. The rat wheel stops quietly. No dramatic exit, no lottery win. Just steadily with assets that work while you rest. Truth 5. The 5 steps to escape. No vague advice, no motivational noise, just 5 clear steps. Step 1. Know your numbers. You cannot escape a place if you do not know where you are. Most people have no clear picture of their financial situation. They know roughly what they earn. They have a vague sense of what they spend, but they have never sat down and looked at the real numbers: income, expenses, savings, debt, net worth. That changes today. Calculate your monthly expenses, everything you spend in a month: rent, food, transport, subscriptions, entertainment, everything. Add it all up, multiply by 12. That is your annual expenses. Now multiply your annual expenses by 25. That final number is your freedom number, the amount of invested assets you need to live without ever needing to work again. For example, if you spend $1,000 a month, your annual expenses are $12,000. Multiply by 25 and your freedom number is $300,000. That is your target. That is the finish line. Now you have a real goal, not a dream, a number. Step 2. Kill lifestyle inflation. We talked about this already, but now we need to be specific. Every time your income increases, a raise, a bonus, a new contract, there is a powerful temptation to upgrade your life immediately. New phone, better apartment, nicer car, more dinners out. Resist that temptation. Not forever. Not completely, but strategically. Before you spend a single dollar of new income, ask yourself one question. Is this going into my asset column or my liability column? A new car that loses value the moment you drive it, liability. An investment in an index fund that grows over 20 years, asset. The rule is simple and firm. Every time your income grows, your savings rate must grow first. Your lifestyle upgrades come after your investments are funded, not before, never before. This single discipline separates the people who escape the rat race from the people who stay in it forever, regardless of how much they earn. Step 3. Build your first asset today. This is the step most people delay. They say, I will start investing when I have more money, but that day never comes. Because lifestyle inflation always consumes the extra money before the investment can be made. Start now, start small. The amount is less important than the habit. Open an investment account this week. Set up an automatic transfer, even a small one that moves money from your salary into that account on payday before you have the chance to spend it. Choose a simple, broad index fund. Set it and do not touch it. Why does starting small matter so much? Because of time. The earlier you start, the longer your money has to grow. Someone who invests $50 a month starting at age 25 will have significantly more at 60 than someone who invests $500 a month starting at 45. Time in the market beats timing the market. Always. Your first asset does not need to be impressive. It needs to exist. Step 4. Stop owning a job. Start owning a system. If you are self-employed or have a side business, ask yourself honestly, if I stopped working for 3 months, would this still generate income? If the answer is no, you own a job, not a business. The goal of this step is to begin building systems around what you do. Document your processes. Identify tasks that someone else could do. Look for ways to turn your skills into products, courses, templates, tools, services that can be sold repeatedly without requiring your direct time every single time. This does not happen overnight, but it begins with one question you ask yourself regularly. How can I do this in a way that does not require me personally every single time? That question asked consistently over weeks and months is what slowly transforms a job into a system and a system into an asset. Step 5. Reinvest your cash flow. When your first asset starts generating income, rent from a property, dividends from a portfolio, revenue from a small business, do not spend it. Reinvest it. Put it back into more assets. Let it grow the system. This is the snowball effect. A small snowball at the top of a long hill starts slow, but as it rolls, it picks up more snow, grows larger, moves faster. The same principle applies to assets and cash flow. The first few years feel slow. The returns feel small. But if you are consistent and patient, if you keep reinvesting, the growth becomes faster and faster. Many people who reached financial independence described the same experience. For years, almost nothing seemed to change. Then suddenly, the cash flow started to grow faster than they expected. The assets were earning enough to buy more assets. Their own wheel, not the rat race wheel, but their asset wheel, started spinning on its own. There it is, the escape. 5 steps, not 5 weeks, probably 5 to 15 years of consistent, disciplined action. But compare that to 40 years of selling your time, 40 years of the rat wheel, and the choice becomes clear. Your expenses always rise to meet your income unless you decide otherwise. Truth 6, the mental game. We are almost at the end, and I want to use this final lesson to talk about something that does not appear in any spreadsheet or investment account. The thing that stops most people from escaping the rat race is not a lack of information. It is not missing opportunity. It is not even a missing bank balance. It is what happens inside their head. Let me describe someone you might recognize. They read the books. They understand the concepts. They know about passive income, about assets, about the cash flow quadrant. But they do not start. Weeks pass. Months pass. Years pass. Nothing changes. Why? Because knowledge without action is just entertainment, and the gap between knowing and doing is almost always filled with one thing: fear. Fear of failure, fear of making the wrong decision, fear of losing money, fear of what other people will think if they try something different and it does not work out. And underneath all of that fear is a belief system, a set of invisible rules that most people absorbed from their environment before they were old enough to question them. Rules like, money is hard to earn, rich people are lucky or dishonest, investing is risky and only for experts, a stable job is the safe choice, wanting more than you have is greedy. These beliefs feel like facts. They are not facts, they are stories, and stories can be rewritten. Kiyosaki calls the difference between these two ways of thinking the scarcity mindset versus the abundance mindset. A scarcity mindset says there is not enough. If someone else wins, I lose. Money is limited. Opportunity is limited. I must protect what I have. An abundance mindset says there is enough for everyone. Every problem is an opportunity. Money is a tool that can be learned and grown. My financial situation is not permanent. It is the result of choices I can change starting today. Notice something important. Neither of these mindsets is based purely on facts. Both are interpretations of reality. But one keeps you in the wheel. The other gives you the energy to build your way out. Now let me address something directly. I know some of you are thinking, this sounds good, but my situation is different. I have debt. I have a family to support. There is no time. No spare money to invest. I am already working 2 jobs. I hear that. Real constraints are real. But consider this. The people who escape the rat race are not people who had perfect conditions. They are people who started anyway, imperfectly, slowly, with whatever they had. No waiting for more money. They started with $50 a month and built from there. No waiting for a better schedule. They used 30 minutes each evening to learn to plan, to take one small step. They did not wait for permission. They gave themselves permission. That decision to start today with what you have is not a financial move. It is a mental one, and it is the most important move you will ever make. One more thing before we close. One of the most powerful forces keeping people in the rat race: comparison. We live in a world designed to make you feel like you are always behind. Social media, advertising, the culture around us, all of it shows you what other people have. A new car because your neighbor upgraded. A bigger apartment because your colleague just moved. A vacation because everyone else seems to be traveling. Comparison fuels the rat race like nothing else. Every dollar you spend trying to look successful is a dollar that could have gone into your asset column. Every financial decision driven by what other people think of you is a decision that costs you years of freedom. The most financially free people share one trait. They stopped caring what their lifestyle looked like to others and started caring what their balance sheet looked like to themselves. That shift from performing wealth to building it changes everything. That gap between knowing and doing, that is where most people stay. The decision to close it starts in your mind long before it shows up in your bank account. We have covered a lot of ground today. Let me bring it all together. The rat race is a system. Earn, spend, debt, repeat forever, unless you decide to build something different. The core trap is trading time for money. Active income has a ceiling. Your time is finite. As long as your income requires your presence, you are not free. The Cashflow Quadrant shows the map. Left side employees and self-employed trade time for money. Right side business owners and investors own assets that generate income. The crossing point is a decision, not a promotion. The 3 assets that can free you are real estate, business systems, and paper assets. Start with 1. Build consistently. Reinvest everything. The 5 steps are clear. Know your freedom number. Kill lifestyle inflation. Build your first asset now. Stop owning a job and start owning a system. Reinvest your cash flow to speed up the process. And the mental game is where it all begins and ends. A scarcity mindset keeps you spinning. An abundance mindset gets you building. Choose your story carefully because you will live inside it. Your expenses always rise to meet your income unless you decide otherwise. That decision is yours. Make it. If this lesson shifted something inside you, subscribe. There is more coming. More lessons like this, built not just for your English, but for your life, your thinking, your future. Which of the 6 truths hit you the hardest? Tell me in the comments. I read every single one. Keep listening every day. This is how English learners grow. One idea, one decision, one lesson at a time. See you in the next one.